Thank you, Yuda. I thank you that you agreed to adapt the timetable. I'm sure you all agree with me that we all send our condolences and to the family of Uri Orbach, a dear person, a beloved person. I cooperated a lot with him in his public career because as the Minister for Senior Citizens, he dealt with a subject very close to my heart, and I was part of the lobby to help the elderly in Israel. I would like, on another note, to thank the outgoing Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Benny Gantz, who completed an impressive term as Chief of Staff, and to wish the greatest success to his successor, Lieutenant General Gadi Eisenkot. I remember that he was the Defense Secretary for the Prime Minister when I was the Cabinet Secretary. I'm very familiar with the INSS. I read their publications and I have a great deal of respect, and the studies provide some very important tools, and this is a very productive conference, and this conference is yet another example of the good work that is done. I thank you for contributing the next Defense Minister, Amos Yadlin. I know that you miss him, but the national security of all of us will benefit if Amos is the Defense Minister of the State of Israel. Distinguished audience, we are in the middle of a very fateful election campaign, and the victory of the Zionist camp will be the beginning of restoring national and personal security to Israel's citizens, which will reconnect us with the vision and hope, as it says in the Declaration of Independence. We must understand the security damage caused to Israel in the past 6 years. We need to examine this in light of the context that Netanyahu himself said, even according to his own scale, he has failed. He said he would stop the Iranian bomb, not to talk against it, but he didn't succeed. There's no demand for social justice, and Netanyahu did everything to ignore those things, and nevertheless, Iran has become a threshold nuclear state, and nothing can change this failure. Instead of quiet agreements with our alignments and to fight the agreement that could harm our interests, he trampled our relations with the White House for a campaign speech. A leader that fights his friends rather than his enemies is a failure. Netanyahu promised to be strong against Hamas, but the truth is that on his watch, Israel was drawn into the longest war in its history since the War of Independence. The IDF fought like a lion, but this is a war that we ended with zero diplomatic achievements and long-term security. On his watch, Jerusalem is once again divided up by concrete blocks, and the security in the north has been eroded. Thousands of terrorists with blood on their hands were released only because he was afraid of the response of the Beit Yehudi to the freezing of the settlements. A settlement that gives a leader that gives into terror is a failure. We must admit it is not what we will get will not be an easy after the elections, but we are not deterred by the responsibility and the magnitude of the task. Netanyahu will continue to serve up his second-hand promises, and we will talk about the vision that we will realize here after we form the next government. It's important to understand the state of Israel is not in existential danger. We have a strong army, we have a powerful security establishment, and we have a wonderful people that is willing to meet any challenge. Together with my partners, we will propose a different path that will reformulate the security reality of the State of Israel. Already on my first day, I plan to speak with the leaders of our main allies, especially the American president, whom Netanyahu managed to distance with his defiant behavior. We will bring the U.S. back to the track that it deserves to be on, and we will enlist all the tools and partners and do everything that is needed and that is possible without ruling out any option in order to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear arms and strengthening the Islamic axis that it is part of. We will demand that in any agreement, Iran must recognize Iran as a member of the UN and as part of the family of nations. I am surprised that the Prime Minister did not demand this as part of the negotiations. Together we can reach an agreement that will assure security and also get out of the international isolation and have a wide coalition that will fight and stop the Islamic threat that is threatening the free world. And we will fight the boycotts that isolate Israel on all fronts and that harm the image of Israel, which is being eroded among many people in the world, because smart security comes only about as a result of the combination of wisdom and strength and international support. Those who heard the words of the outgoing Chief of Staff understand this well. Smart security is created only as a combination of military strength and international strength. Distinguished audience, when I am Prime Minister, I plan to act to deepen the cooperation of Israel with the countries of the region on many areas. This is an important component in Israel's security because regional alliances are a very important aspect of security. If we can put aside disagreements and barriers, we will understand the true combination of forces. We'll be able to create a constructive discourse towards normalization in the region, which will reformulate the reality we all live in. We will work to fulfill the UN resolution to demilitarize Gaza and end the threat that is posed to us. I and my party and our camp, we believe in the two-state solution. We believe that it is the right solution to the conflict, and therefore we must not delude ourselves. The isolated settlements are an economic and security and political burden to Israel. My government will stop the building outside the settlement blocks and will stop budgeting illegal outposts. The money will go to the places where it's needed more, in the Negev and in the Galilee. Peace is not around the corner, but we have a commitment to make every effort. I have a commitment to do whatever it takes to reach a settlement with the other side. I don't know what Palestinian leadership I will meet the day after. I don't know if it will be willing to change its unilateral paradigm. But I can pledge that I will be proactive. I will act to jumpstart the negotiations with the Palestinians, and I will make every effort. I can promise you 100% effort. Everyone here knows that no one can promise 100% results. And I will do this while carefully maintaining Israel's security interests. But I will not accept a situation in which, on the one hand, there will be negotiations, and on the other hand, there will be a crusade held against our soldiers in international courts. I will do whatever it takes to defend our soldiers on the battlefield and on the international scene. And I must say, I quote, security is not only planes and missiles. It is first of all the person, the Israeli citizen. Security is also the education that we give, the home, the street, the neighborhood, the society in which the person lives. Security is also hope and jobs and economic strength. They too are an inseparable part of security. These words were stated by Yitzhak Rabin of blessed memory, among the most daring and courageous captains of our state and security establishment. 23 years later, it is a great honor for me to stand at the head of the camp that Rabin led and to navigate it in the spirit of his vision, a vision that says there is no security without economy, and there's no economy without hope, and there's no hope without a clear diplomatic horizon. The economic plan headed by Emmanuel Trachtenberg, our candidate for finance minister, embodies the essence of our revolution in Israel's priorities. And this program shows that we are the only leadership that is offering hope for change and is willing to turn that hope into reality. Dear audience, the coming elections are very important. One of the most important crossroads to choose between Netanyahu's pessimism and the joint path of the Zionist camp, which is carrying the flags. Only working on both fronts can stop the bloodshed and increase national and individual security and truly address the problems that face us, the future and pocket and heart of each of us. This is our path. This is the journey that we will set out on one day after we have formed our government. We believe that this is the time for great opportunities of good news for the state that we love so much. A time when we have the choice and it is clearer than ever. Thank you very much and have a successful day.